Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. A couple things before we get started that might be helpful to have nearby. I have 2 yoga blocks. I've found that 2 thick books can be a great substitute if you don't happen to have yoga blocks. I've got a folded blanket, which is the throw blanket from my couch. A great option could be a bath towel or a beach towel, just something that you might be able to fold up and sit on or pad your knees with. If this is not enough to sit on, it's fun to just steal things like cushions from your couch. Use the things around you to make this as pleasant an experience as possible. I have a yoga mat. If you're without one, all I ask is that you find a surface that's not too slippery and not too hard. So a carpeted area, a nice sturdy rug. Be careful also if you've got exercise mats that don't have the ability to stick to the ground. I don't want you to feel like you're going surfing halfway through our yoga practice. We'll start today in a child's pose, but I want to show you a few options because child's pose is often taught sitting kind of like I'm doing now with your hips towards your heels. And for many of us, this is way too much flexion or bend in our knees. So what you'll do is design it with your toys. So you use your props, the cushions, and it might be that it's something more like toes curled under and your body a bit more forward. And you could either support your forehead with your block or just have that as something to aim for. Support yourself with your arms. As far out as you need to be, it's great. If it feels okay to uncurl your toes, so sometimes it's also a foot thing, you can be on the tops of your feet. You could sink your hips towards your heels to any degree. And your arms are out in front of you so that we have a nice long spine. If your forehead doesn't reach the ground, don't worry about it. You might use your block, your folded blanket, or just don't worry about it touching anything. And it's here that we turn the arrows of attention inward and stop so that we can start. One of the things that we start is to bring awareness to our breath, every inhale and every exhale. If you're able to inhale and exhale through your nose, that's ideal. But mostly I just want you to breathe. And maybe you can add a little pause at the top of your inhale when you're full, and a little pause at the bottom when you're empty. Three more moments here. And we'll slither out onto our bellies. So if you've got props, just move those off to the side. Once you're on your belly, position your forearms so that they're parallel to the long edges of your mat. Press into the tops of your feet, and then we are going to avoid the collapse by really karate chopping the ground with our forearms and really energizing our legs, pressing the tops of the feet down, letting your kneecaps lift. And then add to that, tractioning your elbows towards you. They won't move, but your chest will through the gateway of your arms. Then come back to your breath. As I say that, my dog Tippy here next to me is snoring like I can't even tell you. So I'm aware of her breath as well. Lower down and move your elbows maybe 2 inches towards you. Curl your toes under. Find the karate chop once again. Try to love me anyway as you peel your chest, your belly, your hips, your thighs. No collapse in between, so keep the karate chop. And then just gently, slowly lower back, uncurl your toes, and it's Sphinx pose again. So we've got a little core work, a little bit of a plank on our forearms. That's option 1. Curl your toes under, oomph into your arms, lift your belly, your hips, your thighs. Either stay here with your knees down or take a little adventure into lifting your knees and then return your knees. And all of us, thighs, hips, belly, unravel into your Sphinx. Press the tops of your feet down. Try not to struggle your chin forward. Let that just stay parallel to the ground. One more time. 3 is the charm, they say. So curl your toes under, oomph into your arms, And lift your belly, your hips, your thighs. Stay with your knees down if you want, or lift your knees up. Let's count 3 and 2 and 1, and then knees down, thighs down, hips down, belly down. This time in Sphinx, lower down and slide your hands back so they're next to your ribs. It's tempting to let your elbows flare out to the side. Aerodynamically, point them back behind you. Probably that makes you want to throw your chin forward. Imagine that you've got a little lemon underneath your chin and you don't want to lose it. Press into the tops of your feet, energize your legs, and then traction your hands like we were doing with our forearms, and just come up a little bit higher into Cobra pose. If that's something not so great for your low back, maybe Sphinx was a better back bend for you, then that's great. Lower down, curl your toes under. Think about that core strength we just found when we did the forearm plank. Bring it with you. Elbows stay in towards you. We come to all fours in one chunk. And then tuck your tailbone and extend your tailbone back behind you. Tuck your tailbone. Extend your tailbone back behind you. Your toes are curled under. Lift your hips back and down. Push into your arms. Step your feet as wide as your mat. Come up onto the balls of your feet and bend your knees. Push into your arms so much that you straighten your arms fully. Your hips go as if they want to land in the corner where the ceiling and the wall meet. And your arms and ears are lined up. Walk your feet forward to your hands. Arrive at the front edge of your mat with your feet hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up. Inhale. Slide your hands back down. Exhale. Inhale, rise, reach. Thumbs to the sky, a V. And then we stand with our arms along our sides, palms facing out. Now, that's not us hunched over, flipping our wrists. That's a feeling of uplifting our heart, like that cobra or sphinx pose came with us in the way that we stand here. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale. Bend your knees as deeply as you need to get your palms flat, and then step back into down dog. Push into your arms. Find that little aim with your hips where the wall and the ceiling meet. You could be hip distance or wider. And then shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat. They're a little bit further in space than when we came to all fours. Remember our plank on our forearms where we weren't collapsed. Keep that going even though we're on our hands. Elbows brush your ribs. We'll lower all the way down onto our belly. Uncurl your toes, press the tops of your feet. Elbows stay close to you. Either Sphinx pose or Cobra pose here. And then lower down. Curl your toes under. Remember one chunk. We come to all fours. And then lift your hips way up and back. Push into your arms as you do so. Down dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands. We arrive hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up. Inhale. Glide your hands down. Exhale. Inhale, rise, reach. Thumbs to the sky, a V. And then we stand in our mountain with our palms facing out. Let's flow that one more time. Inhale, V. Exhale, hinge, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up. Inhale, bend your knees, palms flat. Step back to down dog. Remember your hips are high. Shift it to plank, shoulders over your wrists. Keep pushing the ground away and lower your knees down. Continue to push the ground away. Bend your elbows and come to your belly. Uncurl your toes for Sphinx or Cobra pose. Lower it down, curl your toes under, one chunk. We come to all fours. And then lift your hips back to that corner where the wall and ceiling meet. Arms and ears line up. Walk your feet forward to your hands. Slide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands down, exhale. Then we rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V, and we stand in our mountain, palms facing out. Chair pose, sit back and down, thumbs to the sky. And then exhale, hands to your thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees, situate your palms flat, step to down dog. Your hips are trying to find the ceiling and wall. Come to plank, Shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat. Lower all the way down. Uncurl your toes to a cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours, and then into down dog. Once you're in down dog, lift your right leg, and then step that right foot forward and feel free to help it along. We're going to situate ourselves into a bit of a lunge here. So I'm grabbing my 2 blocks. You might want your books. And then walk your right foot over to the right. Let's keep a deep bend in our right knee. And instead of swinging that right hip out, we will hug that right hip into our midline. If it's helpful, you can always add a little bend to your back knee. It's sticky back there. It moves towards straight when that's doable. And if that's not right now, don't worry about it. A few moments to use our books or blocks as if we were doing the tiniest little bit of cobra pose here in a lunge. And then we'll breathe into this sensation for a few moments. I'll give you some silence to meditate in a lunge. Stay with this same leg forward, but begin to turn your left foot, back foot flat, and to straighten that front leg. Now here's what's tricky, is there's some hamstring stretch, right? Instead of letting your right hip swing out, keep that idea of it swinging behind you. So maybe left foot to the left and right foot to the right where there's more space. Your blocks can be very tall here. And then it's a hinge at your hip. You may not get that right leg all the way straight. That's fine. When you hit the sweet spot of stretch where you can maintain these alignment points we're talking about, that's gold. You have struck gold. Let's stay here for a few stretchy moments in our right hamstring. To come out, bend that right knee and spin on your left toes, your back toes. Scoot your blocks off the 2 sides of your mat, fix your palms flat, and then come to down dog. And once you're there, lift your left leg up and step that left foot forward, help it along. If that is what's required, all good. Trot your 2 blocks or books in, and then we're hugging our left hip underneath us. It's possible that a little bit of bend in that back leg is helpful. And we just want to check to make sure that we haven't crumbled over this leg. So imagine that you're bringing a little bit of that sphinx or cobra pose into your lunge stance here. And then a couple silent moments just to calm ourselves, experience where we are, not try to anticipate what's next or ruminate about how the last side went. Just be. Go slowly. Turn your right foot, back foot flat. Begin to straighten that left leg. And it might mean walk the right foot to the right, left foot to the left. You might stop along the way. Remember, it's that sweet spot where you get the feedback of plenty of sensation, but you're not swinging your left hip out to the left to compensate. And then there is a calm here. Lots of movement to energize our body. And then we stay put in these poses and feel embodied into our yoga in a way that gives us a calm sense of being. Three moments here. To come out of it, bend your left knee and spin on your back toes. Make sure your blocks are off to the side and out of your way. Step back into your downward facing dog. And then option to come with me into plank position. And then bring your knees down and slowly lower to your belly. Uncurl your toes, make it a cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then hips up and back, push into your arms. It's a down dog moment. Walk your feet forward to your hands. We're hip distance and parallel. And then hands slide up as we inhale. They slide down as we exhale. We'll take a chair pose. And then stand it up and float your arms along your sides, palms facing out. Let's keep dancing. Chair pose. Inhale, and then exhale, hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale. Palms are flat as we step back into our down dog. Lift your right leg like we did not so long ago. Step it forward and help it along. Trot your 2 blocks into where we are now. And then left hand will stay on your block, and right arm goes up to the sky. Once again, we're trying not to compensate and swing that hip out. So hug that right hip underneath you. Pause. Maybe you prefer to keep your right hand on your hip or weave that right hand behind your back. Both of those are great. 2 more moments together here. Unwind. If you want or need to, you could straighten and rebend your front knee because we have another bent knee pose coming up, and if you need a break, take it. Walk this right foot over to the left as you turn your back foot flat on its side. Now, I'm sticking my butt out to the right, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to move my block in, take my left hand on my hip, and hug that right hip underneath me. You can do the same with your right forearm across your thigh if that's better. So we start to design from the ground up. Right hip hugging underneath you, and then left arm might go up to the sky, or it can be helpful to keep that left hand on your hip and know a little bit more where you are in space. Let's hold this for a few moments. Equanimity amidst intensity, as they say. So if you need to straighten and rebend to stay calm, do it. Now, at the same time, spin on your left toes, take your left hand onto your block. Move your blocks out of the way and step to down dog. This time we take the optional sun salutation in between sides. Come to plank, carefully bring your knees down, lower onto your belly, uncurl your toes and make it a sphinx or cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under in one chunk, all 4s, and then it's down dog. Lift your hips way up and back. Then lift your left leg, step that left foot forward and help it along. We bring our books or blocks into the mix and we frame this left foot. And then right hand will remain on our block and left arm floats up to the sky as we twist here. Notice where you might be a little bit more tense, like shoulders in your ears, and allow for some calm and some space, body and mind. Unravel your left hand onto your block and your right foot flat. Walk this left foot over to the right. Scoot your block with you. Right now, my left hip is sticking out to the side. I don't want that. So right hand on my hip, and then we hug that left hip underneath us and open our bodies out to the right side of our mat for side angle. And that can be with your right hand on your hip the whole time, or you float that arm up. Remember the option to take that left forearm across your thigh if that's better for you today. And then let's just soak in this shape and in this sensation. And then carefully at the same time, right hand down, spin on your right toes. Scoot those 2 blocks off your mat and out of the way. We step it into downward facing dog. This time, just lift your right leg and step that right foot forward, help it along, etc. Take your book or block outside your right foot, back foot, left foot flat, left hand on your hip. We start to grow a triangle. We're straightening this front leg, but what I don't want is for this to become a side bend. So feel your left hip lift up, get a karate chop at this right hip. Right hand is on your block. Left arm can remain on your hip here if you'd like, or left arm reaches up to the sky, thumb to the sky. Put a tiny bend in that right knee. Spin on your left toes, your back toes. Take both hands onto your books or blocks and wander this right foot over to the right a little bit. Turn your left foot flat. Remember the pyramid pose we did earlier? Let's see if we can create that here. And it's the same idea. You don't have to straighten that right leg all the way. For many of us, that's not going to be the case. And we just add a little twist. So left hand stays on your block. Right arm turns open towards the sky, thumb to the sky. We're trying not to go too crazy with this right hip out to the side. 2 moments where we are. Unwind your hands to your blocks. Bend your right knee, spin on your left toes, move your blocks off the side of your mat, plant your hands. We simply lift our left leg and step that left foot forward. Help it along if helpful. We're framing this left foot, but designing a triangle. So let your block be on the outside of that left foot. Turn your right foot on its side, and then right hand on your hip. Remember, it's not a side bend, so we need to lift this right hip up and lengthen these left ribs and turn our chest to the sky. I like to slide my back heel at a 45-degree angle, and you could float that right arm up or not. Then at the same time, put a little bend in your left knee, spin on your right toes. We've got our right hand on our block. And we design our pyramid pose. So right foot becomes flat again. We'll walk that left foot over to the left. Once we feel like we've got a little design of our pyramid, it's just a little bit of a twist. So right hand down and left arm up. And we're careful not to crumble. 3 moments. Unwind all at the same time. Bend your left knee, spin on your right toes. Move your blocks off the side of your mat and step into your downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, step that right foot forward, help it along, lower your back knee. I like to sit on a block or a folded blanket. We're designing single pigeon. So you'll sit that right hip down, and it's completely fine to have both knees bent. You're getting a little opening here in the hip, a little opening here in the hip in different ways. Maybe you slide your left leg back a little bit. You could try to bring that left hip forward a little bit. Bend this right knee as deeply as you need to. And then once you find sensation of your glute muscles stretching here and the front hip muscles, so the front of your left hip stretching, terrific. I often bring a book or a block, so I've got a little extra height to play around with, just as if my left hip were heavy towards the ground. My hip flexors are really tight. Yours might be too. That's that back leg stretch. So find a place where we can stay calm. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. It feels like, oh, good. A little at a time, I'm creating space and peace. And then we'll be silent here for a few moments. To come out of it, let yourself lean quite a bit to the right. And if you straighten this back leg, bend it slowly. Move your blocks out of the way. Let's go to down dog between sides just so that we can organize everything the way that we did on the first side. So let's do a quick little tuck your tailbone, lift your hips up, curl your toes under, lift into down dog, just long enough to lift that left leg. And step your left foot forward, lower that back knee. Find your book or block or folded blanket. Walk this left foot over to the right. Sit your left sit bone down. So this is a helpful place to get started, and you might start to make some changes, or this is where it stays. Perhaps you bend your left knee a little bit deeper. You might straighten that right leg back behind you a little bit more. And as I said, I sort of like to bring a block with me and to think of it as right hip dropping heavy to the ground. Nothing forced. All of this is just finding a sweet spot and then finding the calm amidst the intensity, just like we have to do off our mat in the course of a day. So these poses are metaphors for life. Find a place where you can be kind to yourself, but also progressive. A few silent moments to stretch into that thought here. remember to come out of it. Give yourself permission to lean way over to the left and bend that back knee. And use the props as a way out. We'll scoot them both off to the side and then lie down on our backs. No rush. Once you're lying down on your back, feet are hip distance. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you and point your fingers to the sky. Then just like you've got little robot arms, press into your feet and your chest will move a little in between those robot arms of yours, like we did with Sphinx at the beginning, and your hips lift up. Then we'll lower them down and scoot our hips to the right. Let our knees drop to the left. If it feels nice to cross right knee over left, then that's an option. Come back to center. Feet hip distance, scoot your hips to the left. Let your knees drop over to the right. Maybe your left knee crosses over your right, if that feels like a nice option. Come back to center, feet hip distance and parallel. Snuggle your shoulder blades, sport your robot arms one more time. And then you push into your feet, your hips lift, but your chest does too, in between the gateway of your arms. Lower your hips, lower your arms. Feel the snuggle of those shoulder blades towards each other continue. You might just ever so slightly lift your hips up so that you've got space in your low back. And then Shavasana Final Meditation can be here with your knees bent. Or you might like to straighten one leg and then the other. Your feet will flop open. Your eyes can close if that's comfortable. You could cover them or just soften your gaze. And then we're here for 2 minutes. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana Final Meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, bend your knees and place your feet on the ground. Roll to either side. Come up and create a nice, comfortable seat. That could be cross-legged. You might sit atop one of your props. And then with your palms up or down, take a moment. Grateful for this calm that we've created. With your hands on your heart, let's make ourselves a promise that we'll carry this calm out into the world with us and share it with everyone that we can. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing this again together soon.